Hello, everyone. Today, my good acquaintances from the company Love Kids came to us for a discussion. These are, so to speak, our competitors in the children's niche, although they do not consider each other competitors in the children's niche. These are still partners. We share our valuable experience, complain about the problems that stores arrange specifically for us. And we will also have a discussion about this today, I believe, because of what took place in May at Google. I think you personally experienced the impact of it. At this moment, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce our colleagues. Please meet Anna and Nikita, who are valuable members of our team. Anna, let's commence with you. Share a bit about yourself, your profession, and your intended location.
I am the leader of the department in the company. I'm actually doing UA user acquisition across all platforms, all projects.
Nikita, can you please tell me?
Hello everyone, my name is Nikita. I am a game producer in the Funny Food department. Today we will be reviewing one of our projects. I am involved in the development of our products to increase their earnings, enhance their recognition, and gain more popularity in the market.
Thanks a lot. Did you feel the May descend on your chest forcefully? Did it really grab hold of your attention?
There are dependencies on products. That is, if you examine our redistribution, we are presently placing more emphasis on iOS, on the subscription monetization model in any case. Regarding Android, I believe Anya will also have a wealth of information to share.
Nikita correctly observed that on certain projects we noticed it, while on others we were more fortunate with the circumstances. We received some boosts that allowed us not to notice this decline in those cases where we were less fortunate. Taking into account organic, we didn't notice, and with regards to UA, we didn't notice. But again, on project and everything.
My colleague Yuri joined. Yuri is the head of the children's department at PSV Company. We continue.
Hello all, now I'll share the screen. Let's begin with iOS immediately. Regarding the title, no remarks about the title. All 30 chars used both here and there. Regarding screenshots, everything visible, but in reality it's very, very bright. I think this is for kids, and I'm confident that you have all this tested because you have multiple apps. So I have no comments regarding the visual aspect. In terms of the rating, the chic and shine of the product, there is a significant number of reviews, with an average rating of 4.5. Additionally, there are quite a few positive reviews posted on the wall. In general, there are no comments in this context. Regarding the direct indexing of the application, there are a few comments. I have no clue how you did it, but you managed to rank 6th for kids games. Let's reevaluate, maybe it's not 6th, but a higher position. Yes, even it turns out you are in 5th position because there is another one here. And I believe you receive a substantial amount of traffic from this keyword. Also, in general, you have a number of search queries where you are also in the top, but they, of course, are already without traffic. However, when discussing your niche, I adore children's apps due to the vast amount of organic search traffic available in this area. At this moment in time, even if you solely orient yourself towards the keywords that explicitly contain a duration of 3 years, 2 years, or 5 years, if you select these keywords, there are a plethora of them, but your presence is significantly lacking in many of them. And as a result, you are failing to reach your intended target audience, thus limiting your organic reach. If we're talking iOS, then it's a matter of time, 1 to 2 weeks. All these keywords can be pulled to the top and start getting more organic traffic and increase visibility. Especially with the current situation, what you have visually, what you have with an assessment. I believe it's necessary and worthwhile. I highly recommend utilizing it. Select a minimum of 5, 10, 15 keywords, work with them, and bring them to the top. It will be extremely cool, fantastic. Regarding Android, you possess a video. The rating here is definitely worse. Now I'll check. This is the USA we have. Yes, this is the USA. Worse rating, it is desirable to have an evaluation. Oh, how so? 3943, interesting. Here, all things considered, I would recommend that the rating be in the range of 4 to 5 stars. This will impact your traffic acquisition. If discussing Facebook or Google ads, the higher the rating, the more frequently the cost can be reduced. Here, regarding the wall, well, the situation is not very good here. Perhaps we should focus on addressing this. So you would prefer to have 5s here. You can remove these dislikes, likes, it's all fixable. And if I were in your place, I would take care of it. As it's a trust credit, when a person visits your app page, they read reviews, especially for this kid's app. Moms will read reviews, scroll through at least 5 of them, whether you like it or not. And on this, you can slightly boost the conversion from transitioning from page to installation. I would suggest doing it. Regarding the rating, if 4.3 is selected on the phone, then the overall impression is that everything is more or less satisfactory. It is preferable to achieve a score of 4.5, but it is not crucial. Regarding screenshots, the situation is similar. I appreciate the presence of focused captions, as it makes the content less cluttered, or at least that's how it appears to me. And screenshots, I believe you test regularly, so here you need to look solely at ABT tests. I'm not a mom, unfortunately, or fortunately, so I can't tell you for sure, but personally, my experience suggests that in the children's theme, it's regular work with A/B tests, icons, screenshots. It's like a must-have, and it's constantly happening. What is the current status of the text itself and the process of indexing it? Are there any updates or challenges in this regard? Everything is terrible here. Terrible because you are practically non-existent in the rankings. When I was examining the indexing by states there, in the event that you take a look, you see, yes, there are the keywords that you are ranking for, but there is no traffic for them. I don't think you have a lot of direct organic search traffic coming in. Most likely they come from similar apps, possibly from collections, and most likely from your other apps. A person is already accustomed to, e.g., your other product, they enter and start installing similar apps. It is the search traffic, I believe, either it is very minimal or, well, in summary, a small amount. In this case, because of the good indexing, there are a great number of relevant keywords, but in all locations, the positions are either 90, 100, 200, or they are completely absent. The situation is average. With regards to the text, we will now proceed to check it and evaluate its content and accuracy. The number of characters is 3,000, great, but there is a moment with spamming on the request game. You write the word game too often, 26 times in 3,000 characters, you need to remove at least 15 of them. A small spam on the request for a whale, but insignificant. And here it is about the game, of course. This can play a cruel joke in terms of when you start promoting the app or buying traffic, for example. In any case, the more traffic to the application, the better the position will be, the more search queries there will be, and accordingly, even thanks to the huge volume of traffic, you can pop up somewhere in the top. But because of oversaturation for these moments, Google may intentionally not allow you to reach the top. When we promote, for example, with a motive, it's crucial. Initially, we analyze the anchor, ensuring no over-optimizations, mentioning all necessary keywords for the niche. Only after we start promoting, no such thing, product arrived, we need to be at the top for their, such and such key. No, we first analyze everything, check, and then give our recommendations. At the moment, if we started working with you and started promoting keywords, I would recommend cleaning up this moment and removing such frequent mentions of these specific keywords. I would have concentrated more directly on the primary key queries that have a high volume of traffic and specifically target a particular age group. Because if we discuss requests, for instance, kids' games, it is an extremely broad request and there can be anything, and for any age group. And accordingly, the conversion from such keywords is extremely low, and in your case, I would focus only on developing and educational ones with age targeting and possibly with direct attachment to some internal functionality, that is, to some character, maybe their kids' games with cats, well, something like that. Because if you take extensive search queries, as practice shows, they work very poorly. That is, you waste too much money, and the conversion is very low. Because a person, kids' games, he doesn't know what he wants to install. He starts scrolling. This traffic is more and more dispersed, and accordingly, such a moment. Overall, I think probably that's it, and I'm ready to answer questions.
Yes, thanks for the comment, ESP3 Android, because as we can see, the situation is better for us on iOS. And here, actually, I have more points about Android I'd like to focus on. I do not want to prioritize keyword work currently. I want to prioritize the product side. How can we have an impact on SEO? The initial query will be regarding NFR and ANR. Do you have any more specific data or information that you can provide? We have an understanding that the health indicators of the product conditionally impact the organic search outcomes. But do you have any numbers that you can share? Or are there any indicators that are lower than trash rates? How much can C2 improve?
We have a principle of confidentiality, can't share how we promote it, but have one of my biggest products we have been working on for 5 years. Here, these are exactly children's educational games, but it is more focused specifically on the CIS. And I have specific metrics if you prefer. I can also connect you with their team leader, who is accountable for development, who is accountable for monetization, and so forth, and you can discuss it in detail with him if he agrees to it. And I am completely fine if you connect. And he is more than capable of providing assistance to you in that regard. With regard to optimization, it is exceedingly difficult to say with certainty at the present moment in time. Need more metrics. You need to immerse yourself more globally in this product. At the moment, we are discussing everything that we see, that I can tell you. So there are certain comments, well, yes, the rating is slightly lower. Well, yes, change the reviews there. Something about changing spam and something more global to improve or something else. Here you need to already see what is, how they changed. Well, that is, unfortunately, we won't be able to discuss it in 5 minutes, but after our chat, I will be happy to give you advice, help with all questions.
Once again, one moment. This is regarding the events that are in the App Store. If you take a look at it, we utilize them. We frequently launch them on iOS. We analyze them. We work with this tool extensively. I still couldn't understand if there is something similar on Android. That is, as if I read that as if there is, but we don't apply.
I cannot provide a definite answer regarding Android events, unfortunately, but from what I recall, there is no such thing. Well, I mean, so that, like in iOS, it's a separate event for you, it stands out there. No, I haven't encountered that at least. Not separately, you launched a new version. Doing it like in iOS, it's a whole different story. If this is part of featuring, then you should apply, right?
Well, you should talk to the manager, your personal one, if you have one. And in this case, we need to somehow ask for something.
Not same story as in iOS. What did you decide today? We'll have an event, released a new one. Off we go. No, that's false. In Android, this is already correct. Part of the featuring, almost like an event, isn't it? Well, I don't know how to put it. However, it is identical to throwing you into a compilation. Regarding iOS, it is truly an incredible tool because I have a client, once again, the one I mentioned earlier, and he has recently doubled the size of his event. The number of his subscriptions doubled. And currently we've begun testing on different projects, not specifically kids apps, but other apps. He says it's a cool tool. We've worked with him for so long because he's tested traffic options, but his is the most effective, profitable one among all the different options he's tried. And we pour, yes, with a motive, we've been pouring for 5 years, damn it. Everything is cool. It works great when a person enters a search engine and finds the app. Plus there's already a huge selection. Everything is beautifully done. Works very well. Regarding the event, the same thing. That is, a person sees this screen, it is big, it can be different, and it attracts. Regarding the featuring, unfortunately, I can't tell you much because we have never, from our side, from our company, submitted our clients for featuring. So it's all done directly by the developer. And here I think Oleg can help, or Yuri will tell you how to do it better with featuring.
The only thing I can add about featuring is that if someone is interested for featuring on Google Play, your app must have a teacher-approved status if you interact with the children's category.
That is correct. Individuals who show up vanish periodically and predictably. Feature approved, unclear criteria. It seems we have an application we are counting. Fulfilling these requirements, but they do not reach that point. And there are individuals who appear to not meet the guidelines, but occasionally they manage to be included.
And one last question, Victor. I'll come back to the elements on iOS. Maybe there is some information that you can share, or maybe you have tried somewhere. This is about launching 2 or more events simultaneously. So do they work better when you launch them one by one event at a time, or not?
Well, it is very challenging to respond. I will be truthful with you. You must make an attempt. In this situation, you should try because, well, on certain projects it may work better, on others it may not. It's the same, with captions on screenshots. Somewhere they work better, somewhere they work worse. Or with video. When it, on the contrary, reduces conversion, you have to remove it. So these moments are such an individual thing. This is the same as, keyword promotion, like how much will it cost? But each keyword, it is unique. You calculate it again and again and individually for each project. So it seems to me that there is no perfect answer separately. Well, it does not exist. Here you need to test on this application, test on another application. You will observe that they worked in a completely different manner. And as a result, There is no precise answer. You need to conduct testing. Yes, it is also too vague. You can understand that we have such and such number of characters. You can add so much here, such and such adjacent locales, so you can improve ASO optimization. And regarding events, it is temporary. You comprehend that this is not something you are able to do once and alter every 6 months or once per year, depending on what has changed in the market. Specifically, these functionalities need to be tested. And test regularly. It may even be possible to test separately for each country, because somewhere in the USA it will work great, somewhere in Brazil it won't convert at all. Well, everything is highly personalized and unique.
What is the next step? Traditionally, we didn't talk much about it, but now we are actively considering traffic acquisition as a priority. This will be communicated by Zoryana. Zoryana, please tell us something.
Yes, hey everybody, greetings.
Are you personally acquainted with Anna or not?
Just a smidge.
Anya, please update me on the procurement progress, methods tried, and sources utilized for the overall evaluation.
Well, let's probably start with Android. Here, Oleg touched on this topic a little. Since Victoria said that she unfortunately won't be able to answer the question with featuring, maybe Oleg will join in, and you, Zoryana, too. On Android, I am uncertain whether I should brag or not, but we consistently receive featurings for our application on a regular basis, which is quite remarkable. And we have personally tracked the connection of this featuring with the procurement activities of UA on our own for ourselves. Are there perhaps any developments, any also, as it happened in your experience? Because we witnessed a positive effect from it at the beginning of the featuring. When the featuring ends, a negative effect occurs as a result of the changes that take place during the course of the featuring. So it is similar to a sinusoidal wave pattern.
Yes, after being featured, that is, you have a specific category of individuals who are interested in your product and its offerings. If you became more visible at a certain point in time, then subsequently, some users who were supposed to install it during the current week ended up installing it during the previous week that had passed by. That is the reason why, after showcasing your organic reach, it experiences a drop for a while.
And organic and UA, I know about it. The impact of featuring on organics is clear. It will be very significant, but we have also noted this on UA.
The same. You aim for the same objective. We all occupy the identical niche area. We share goals and work together to achieve them. People watched, showed this feature rate on Google Play. They have already installed the game. Naturally, after that, advertising this game in Unity or Iron Source will not be effective, as they have already installed it on their devices, rendering further promotion unnecessary. Although in our understanding, but UA has less influence than GAN. Do you probably have the same?
Not as organic, but nonetheless, the impact is substantial. We feel it very intensely. And at the specific moment when the feature was introduced, how did it have an impact on your overall experience with UE? What do I mean? On specific projects, we observed a substantial decrease in CPI and a corresponding increase in volume at the moment of receiving the feature.
Certainly, these are apparent aspects once more. What is taking place at the current moment? We will delve a little deeper into the theory of procurement. When we use the attribution of the same Tringine or upspy, that is, you conditionally showed this person an advertisement on Unity the day before yesterday. Today he went to Google Play, saw the featuring, and installed it. Unity will consider this user as its installation if a week has passed since the advertisement was shown on the platform. The duration of 1 week must elapse for Unity to count this user as an installation based on the timing of the advertisement display on Google Play. In fact, this is not a decrease in CPI. In fact, this means that part of the organic matter which was supposed to simply come was included as if in its cord.
On specific projects, this was strongly felt. P2M had a very significant impact and played a crucial role. Some are not very significant. Are there any factors that have an impact on the outcome?
We simply attempt to decrease when the release is activated in order to prevent the networks from charging us for services they actually do not provide.
Let's return to Android. In point of fact, we do not have such a wide pool of channels on Android platform. Google Ads is of top-notch quality. We make use of all the tools that Google Ads can provide us with whenever it is possible to do so. Perhaps Zoryana possesses recommendations. I intend perhaps there are recommendations specifically for Google Ads. Maybe some tips, insights on how to reach other sources I am not aware. Maybe Zoryana can provide guidance on this matter.
Haven't bought anything except Google Ads. Google Ads we're buying for now.
We conducted a test, however. Let's assume we received an unsatisfactory CBI result for the sake of discussion.
Why do you, if you yourself said that monetization is mainly not advertising but subscriptions?
Advertising monetization on Android. With advertising monetization, Google Ads works great for us, but everything else is not so good.
Do you buy Google Ads not via MMP but via Firebase, right?
Through Firebase, yes.
What is your pattern and ratio of ad impressions per user? What is the playtime and what is the retargeting?
I cannot provide you with the precise number of votes.
It's crucial because you comprehend the necessity of tracking individual users to ensure they are exposed to an adequate amount of advertising. Without this, our higher lifetime value, LTV, becomes irrelevant, rendering any mathematical calculations ineffective for our purposes. Therefore, we have certain metrics even here that we understand that if we have less than 5 total impressions per user, then it will be very difficult to sell such products because we will not be able to monetize them anywhere in principle. Unless you have retention, there is a simply enormous percentage, more than 50%, which is very, of course, highly unlikely, but nevertheless. I believe you already know where your competitors are purchasing, but we will demonstrate it to all of our viewers. Here we are going to Admetrica to watch. You sent the first link to Kidopia, a very well-known brand that is probably referred to by many people. Kidopia is highly recognized in the industry and has gained popularity among a wide audience. At least they are there. I don't know if they are there permanently or not, but we occasionally meet them there. Some part of the team, they are definitely there. In fact, they are very, I think, loyal to users. They have a very large audience of their own. Without a doubt, they are employed by Crossprom due to the fact that they possess a substantial number of applications. And even if we take into account the revenue they earned in the preceding 30 days, so to speak, is undeniably impressive. And this is all a subscription model because the advertising revenue of Magic does not show us.
The main pool. This is what we are currently looking at on iOS as far as I can see from the link at the top.
On iOS?
I am inquiring about Android.
Certainly, we should take a look at their Android since I noticed 2 links for iOS on the web page.
They offer a variety of smartphones, including devices running on both the Android and iOS operating systems at this particular establishment.
Well, anyways, look, like if we take a closer look at Revenge, for instance.
On Android, 100K subs is good for app count?
Yes, that is indeed accurate. Absolutely.
I am intrigued by the forthcoming screenshot depicting a purchase made on the Android operating system. I would like to see the specific details of this transaction. And you see, this is completely Google AdMob. There must be some underlying reason for this after all. Even if we search for a longer period of time, it is still Google AdMob. And if we examine the entire duration, we will have small experiments or tests on Facebook. So they discovered Misha for themselves, specifically on Google, and they made their purchase there. It's their go-to place for buying. Exceptional creatives, we can also observe them and display them to our viewers. This is simply such an impressive gameplay. Sweet, kind, cute, with lovable characters that capture your heart and bring joy and happiness to the story. They do not even come up with anything extra or additional here. There is no plot line or storyline there. Here is a regular gameplay, clean feed, everything like for kids. Even here at the end, this is already the next cough. At the end, here it finally is. Install, this is a generated Google Backshot standard. No addition or invention of supernatural elements is made in this location. This location remains unchanged. However, you also sent me the second game, which is part of a saga or series of games. There is also something to observe at this location. There is a positive evaluation available here. But countries, naturally, this is a single state. States purchase a small quantity of goods from Brazil. If we consider networking, the picture is completely opposite. It is very surprising for me to see that they all prefer buying on Facebook rather than on Google. As you can see, the majority of their purchases are made on Facebook, with only a small amount being spent on Google.
Can we apply a filter there where the platform is not all but separately, yes?
On the Android operating system, it will be the same, yes. This is truly amazing and astonishing. Yes, I was also taken aback, to be completely honest. It really caught me off guard, to be frank with you.
And what is it that we see behind the UK Cup? Ah, yes, it is none other than Australia, the land down under.
Yes, Brazil, Canada, primarily Tier 1, a small amount of Europe. Additionally, I am including these locations. Wait, I had a screenshot somewhere around here. Let me offer it as a gift. I am still present. There she exhibited, yes, correct, states that you can make a purchase on the Android platform. And let's also examine iOS for comparison. Also the entire Facebook, which is very surprising on iOS and on Facebook. And there was a small amount, approximately 4% present within the context of Google's domain. Let's take a look, shorten the time interval. Maybe these were some tests. Yes, and here is the entire purchase made on Facebook.
But here we must comprehend that it is highly probable that this is not Facebook Audience Network, but instead a transaction made within Facebook and Instagram.
Not a fact, because you can purchase placements, for instance, if they are launched in this location. It is highly probable that they launch ROS companies with optimization either on cost per acquisition or on volume. This may work well for them, and because they only launch one solitary Facebook source, they do not need to attribute and distribute traffic to different sources of information, thereby simplifying their process. They know everything falls together with organics.
You fail to consider a highly significant factor. Facebook is presently not operating in conjunction with other platforms or systems. I am speaking now from the point of view of advertising monetization. If 2 years ago the share of Facebook monetization was 15–20%, then after the introduction of IDFA, it is now 0.3–0.4%. In accordance with this, something reaches that place based on a residual principle.
Wait, they have a sub on iOS. What's ads got to do with it? Ads, not intents at home.
To advertise in apps, the apps must have Facebook ad impressions for eligibility and advertising placements within the applications. And now Facebook is not performing in iOS.
The market capacity of Facebook is nearly non-existent and extremely insignificant.
Well, it is comparable to Churgust, or rather even incomparable below Churgust. To clarify, yes, on a significant scale.
Listen, can't understand, don't think they're just patrons, just wasting whole budget on Facebook, no idea why.
Due to lack of tasks?
They're probably busy on IG, well, on FB, IG, you know.
In FIDE, yes, in FIDAC, in Scorisa, but no hits. We output on network and on app, but unlikely to catch ads on Facebook.
Kindly inform me about the types of companies you operate on Google and the optimization strategies you employ.
All available. In fact, we have all optimizations working. There is no such thing that we work somewhere on some project only on ROS, and somewhere we work only on install. All people work in parallel simultaneously.
You have already been provided with a hybrid model.
All possible models.
Are you currently engaged in hybrid?
Yes, we are testing. Currently, it is in the testing phase. There is such a case. I have a question about Google Ads on Android. We have observed that it is not a secret in chats that all this information is being exchanged between individuals during their conversations. ROAS on Redrock, which was previously known as Redrock, has now been rebranded and is currently referred to as Redrock. For the custom event return on ad spend, Google officially states that they have already ceased support for it as a project. If you have ROS functioning on Redrock, okay, allow it to continue functioning. If something broke there, sorry guys, sorry, we are unable to assist you any longer. We do not support this type of ROS. ROS at a standard event in Google's so-called ROS optimization wants a lot of money. That is, when you launch it on small budgets, it tends to work less effectively than when launched on larger ones. But not always can the project afford to start immediately on large budgets. Are there any recommendations in this direction?
On what day do you optimize the growth of your business?
7th.
Have you tried shortening the conversion window?
The recommendation is to play with the conversion window now, if it's a standard event.
Yes, experiment with the conversion window, and for instance, if you configure the 0-day ROS, or at the very least the third, this 0 ROS will enhance the budget for a duration of 3 days. I am uncertain, but at the very least, by an additional $100, I believe you can conduct a trial for 3 days. It is not 7 and not 14. Provide the company with this boost to optimize and decrease the conversion window. Then you can attempt to launch and obtain additional volume on such companies.
Okay, thank you. And as for Redrock, somewhere someone is still working, or is it broken for everyone?
And somewhere someone continues on some projects. We were also told about it by a Google manager.
Once you achieve featuring on Google, the terrorist must be halted without any delay. Because in that case, he still learns poorly from them, but at the moment of reaching a conclusion, his understanding is limited and incomplete.
Featuring everything breaks down, everything fails.
Therefore, upon receiving a Google feature, promptly cease terms of service. Well, this is one of those tips that are readily apparent and require no further explanation.
Let's make the switch to iOS, as it is truly wonderful. We had a great time watching Saga Mini on Facebook, and it is an excellent platform for shopping. Search on Google. Is it possible for us to return to Kinopoisk on the Apple Store? Perhaps there will be something different available there?
We shift our focus to the children and head towards iOS, opting to utilize its features and capabilities for our needs and requirements. Well, you see, they had an opportunity to attempt to make a purchase on ironSource for the entire duration. However, I believe the reason behind it was probably that they may not have tested, worked, or tried to launch ironSource mediation. It is possible that they were specifically working for Roskompani on this source, but this is just my assumption. I cannot be certain, so let's experiment with lifetime. In this context, these are the advertising platforms AdMob and Facebook that are being referred to. How they attribute this or that source, I believe it is challenging. I wanted to demonstrate this to you. I stumbled upon this screenshot. It was absolutely mind-blowing and completely surreal for me. Look, if it's typical for a lifetime, if we go for a period of 90 days, it is generally considered normal, but for some unknown reason, they purchased India. I do not understand the reason. And if we look at the general situation within a 30-day period, India represents 50% of the total traffic for procurement in this context. Here is this screenshot where it shows everything. Yes, but you just see India is growing this market, and it is growing on iOS. I cannot explain it to myself very well. Indians with iOS.
Zoryana, what is the total number of impressions that we see for India? Is it 250?
250.
250,000 impressions. If we multiply this by the average ICPM in India, let's say we take the average in the hospital of $2.5, then we are talking about a whopping 2.5 thousand. No, 6.5 thousand. The same states that make 14% of the purchase, then there are much more.
Maybe they actually shut state procurement. Did it occur?
Can I ask, does search ads fall into this category or not? Does this app load in search ads in the USA?
Magic does not see Apple search. As far as I know, there is no YouTube traffic on AdMob either.
He does not observe YouTube traffic, and he does not observe Google Play Store traffic.
Furthermore, it is important to pay attention to the fact that they make use of HTML in their work. You see, they are here, they are highlighted.
For Google, this is unusual.
About Google, it doesn't matter if it's iOS or Android. We tested Playblade, but the performances they get there are just tears.
There is a very small percentage of companies where there are playbooks, and on these playbooks, that is, there are very large volumes, and they work with playbooks.
But we don't have such a volume of traffic to optimize like that.
The playbooks will function?
Not a fact. Then they can earn.
Then they can earn 100% agreed.
We have finished the procurement. On monetization, I have everything very briefly today. Yes, I see that all the guidelines are followed. There is a visa on this side. There is monetization of ironSource. I can simply recommend going for another test. We are ready to go to him now. We tested in our time. The test showed that your configuration is better, but we have now replayed it ourselves and significantly improved our performance. Accordingly, my desire is to conduct an additional test for further evaluation, required to carry out ABT. This most likely we will come to an agreement separately with Nikita after the phone conversation takes place, as discussed. So now I pass the word to the individuals who participated in this thrilling game. I have discovered a multitude of new things. In the customary manner, I would ask Rinaz to commence the process.
Never found anything like this. What can you find fault with? Well, there, just wrote down a couple ideas. Let's discuss it quickly now. 3 ideas. Why do you have this button here? It. Just interesting. Suggest making it a reward if you didn't pass the level. And in the end, yes, you can go there for the internet.
Just a moment. Doesn't this contradict Google's policies where you should give a reward specifically? Well, as far as I understand, when it comes to rewards, either rewards the user while watching the reward should receive some additional content, so to speak. And does the next button contradict the policies of Google, like in the case where you hang a reward there?
Skipping a level to get a reward is a commonly seen theme.
If you implement the skip button, not just for rewinding, but also for skipping ahead, it is absolutely acceptable and can be considered as a rewarding feature. No issue with traffic police too.
Thanks. Yes, generally, we slowly adjust their rewards through A/B tests. Here, thanks. Maybe someday we'll also reach this test.
Then you can provide a hint, because I did not see it. Typically in games like these, a button with the word hint appears after a period of 30 seconds. You don't have one, right?
Depending on what the hint is. If the user is inactive for a certain number of seconds on the screen, then a hand appears there, which drags one specific area. Well, it tends towards the correct answer. Additionally, there are voice assistants in each minigame. So it turns out that we did not implement it through an extra button. We implemented it through lack of activity on the screen.
You don't understand. In this case, by inaction on the screen, you simply give the user a hint, and here they give a hint for watching reward videos.
Honestly, I comprehend what Rich is discussing, but I would be more careful about reward mechanisms and comparable elements, because it is a delicate balance between additional income and potential drawbacks.
User churn, so to speak. Naturally, this is a question about it.
At the conclusion, display the stars, the distance he has traveled, and you may even manipulate the players in some way. Therefore, refrain from looking at anything. Simply assign 1 or 2 stars initially, and subsequently, when he responds, allocate 3 stars as a rating. Well, that's an idea too. Sometimes you can give 3 stars right away.
Give 3 stars at the first level, then when a person has played 3 or 4 games there, give 1 or 2. We motivate him a bit more to outplay. Yes, it's like motivation of dissatisfaction. We hit against cheapness.
Nikita, thoughts on this idea?
We initiated, such a worldwide subject concerning rewards in general, and conditionally here you have the opportunity to elaborate on this subject for a considerable duration. And we also conducted several supplementary experiments where we attempted to collaborate with rewards and any presents that we provide to the user for accomplishing minigames. And here, actually, such a question, how does it work on Android? Because what we always come across is that any additional windows, wherever we put them at the beginning, but this, of course, is even more problems if we make some intermediate screens between minigames, not our standard next reload, then accordingly, this is also a problem. So it turns out that in the end, where we always strive to concentrate on retention, usually we just reduce it by means of this additional overhead, which ultimately diminishes the funnel of our users. Do you have any feedback cases when you worked with metrics, stars, rewards, anything, there with any gifts, and it provided a noticeable advantage on the Android platform?
I'm simply afraid that it is merely because it is a game for children. That is precisely why no mechanics, such as retention goals, are effective in the long term here in this particular context.
Partly, yes, possibly.
The child only wants to give content, and this long-term goal means nothing to him. It was tough for me to come up with something with your group.
I get it. Imagine the number of A/B tests we do on similar mechanics, and there's a distinction in our game category. Yes, the fact that we cannot use standard market tools because our user will simply not remember tomorrow what he was doing, what he was playing. And the second is the difference in the platform. So it is also present depending on the type of monetization. That is, on Android, as soon as we include something in our flow, everything simply becomes more difficult. And on iOS, there's a subscription-based monetization system, so we have different goals and the work is organized differently. So if you have any feedback, experiments that you have conducted, it would also be nice to share.
We haven't conducted such comprehensive tests. There is naturally understanding. We collaborate with a comparable or identical audience. Spoiled viewers. The more you progress, the more challenging it becomes. The market is rapidly evolving. We all face this, but the topic of stars, in my opinion, is fundamentally correct, i.e., it should be present, i.e., there are people who will simply mechanically go through and not think about the result, not worry about the quality, but part of the audience will strive to complete every task.
Stars criteria determined based on rockets defeated at the end of each level.
You can play for a conditional time of 30-40 seconds, set the average time, and have a countdown timer. If you take too long to think and make a decision, you will lose 1 star in 10 seconds. Therefore, if you took a long time and ended up with only 1 star, It means you have reached the end at least, and next time the child will still want to get 3 stars. That is, he will look at which mini-games he has 1 star in and will return to it again, so it doesn't break any current developments. Well, let's say you can try it as an option. About the game, I can say. You can already test it if you want and draw your own conclusions. This screen layout option is not very good. Well, maybe it is related, of course, to these some kind of misclicks. When dragging an element that still falls conditionally under your finger, you don't see that is you. Game, conditionally puzzles. If you can't see the element under your finger, how to insert it in a tiny item? My suggestion is to replay this, throw them up, maybe even give out wishes with clouds floating in the sky. I want this, he fed it, this one wanted something else, and distribute it to everyone in turn. Problem, unclear task. So in principle, this is it. In many minigames I've played, that is, in principle, I've encountered the fact that, understanding our audience, I've encountered the fact that it's unclear what to do here. Suppose a separate topic is to give attention to the visual design. In principle, the layout of the scene itself should be considered. You have light objects on a light background. That is the option that the child will understand, notice, what he interacts with, the task is unclear. Here, in my view, it's a bit gloomy. That is, again, comparing a good example today, they brought competitors on whom you relied on phonetics. They possess a strong sense of planning. At present, you have numerous conflicting plans. So you possess a primary character, and I would slightly diminish the background character to avoid losing an excessive amount of colorfulness. However, by taking this step, you would pre-expose the primary elements that the player and the child should interact with. Regarding buttons, by the way, I would reduce the quantity. Maybe, I don't know if you have conducted tests, you have a next button, maybe always throw through the map, and for example, track popular games, and for example, throw into paid content, which for example, on the second, third session, it already becomes gold-plated and only available in some premium version. From the good, that is. I've been following your products for a long time, many cool things. I also spy on them for myself, but I'd like more interactivity. Imagine animations that take the tool out of the player's hands. In my opinion, this is not the optimal solution. In other words, it is better to torture programmers, let them figure out how to connect it programmatically, but the player's tool should not fly away.
These tools are still very difficult for me to reach in places because you are trying to aim with these pliers. It has such a position, that is, you are somehow, it turns out that in order to pull out this nail, you need to aim there not with the teeth of the pliers, but with some strange part.
Yes, this is what, let's say, interactive, because we have kids, they understand the feeling of the world, and they start using their skills in the game, but it doesn't work here. And this can cause the player to drop out. The player does not continue playing further because he did not understand how to apply it. Extremely minuscule items that position these flowers, it is essentially and practically impossible, I must say. So you have finger interaction. It turns out you take this item and you just have it under your finger. Even a child, in principle, it is impossible to fit it here somehow, especially if they have unique positions and very similar elements that are indistinguishable. Understanding the reason why this fits here and not there is extremely challenging. The game logic is good, but perhaps the implementation needs to be reevaluated for the design. There are hints. About hints, a separate topic. In the reviews, people started complaining that supposedly a child cannot think. But here is an ambiguous situation. That is, maybe you need to play with timings. As an option, the theme of a hint for a reward is not some kind of hidden object for a more adult audience, where you just hit a dead end and can't find it. Yes, you watched and received a reward. Yes, it's just quite short here. The child is more likely to leave than to watch the reward. However, the only feasible solution is to offer a package or a daily reward for the session, providing a total of 10 hints to the user as an incentive. And then this button simply becomes a call to the full version, again increasing your subscription model. Regarding the colorful richness, everything is contrasting and colorful, and the eye gets lost on what to focus on.
I prodded thinking I needed to find them.
Accurate, because our kids are extremely indulged, because there are numerous freely available games. I made a small error somewhere, that is all. We cannot retrieve this user any longer. I would allow a child to stand nearby, observing how he positions himself, where he leans on. An individual question, this is in relation to carrots. Ah, I will be back. It was the very last one. I have an additional question, not the final one.
The icon doesn't match the actual game. It really confused me.
It was changed a few months ago.
Somewhere similar to that. Icon, are you referring to hospitals?
Yes, strongly disrupted the metrics.
Well, no, we're still testing everything. But let's do it this way. On iOS now, the old icon will be returned. We had BTS applied in the release. Now we will roll back. On Android, it still works flawlessly for our team.
I'm just confused that I'm kind of going through medicine, but there's nothing like that in the game nearby. Maybe as an option to add some mini games at least, and a couple of screenshots, or at least one screenshot.
Well, there is a screenshot in the store now. We have one mini game that you showed, Balinichka. You had it on the screenshots, but everything will be in the future.
This information is derived from careful observations that have been made.
In terms of mini games, I will also provide feedback on the situation at a later time. The application has been in existence for a considerable period, and we are constantly faced with the dilemma of whether to enhance the existing ones or invest in developing newer, more innovative content that can be built more competently and without any omissions, which is always a concern. So yes, there are some problems there. We are trying to improve them, but there are a lot of games. It's a very demanding job.
Yes, I comprehend. Let's assume that all the things we observe, we express verbally. In our games, there is also enough to do. Where else to do something? Regarding Carrot, in my opinion, this is a cool character. In the comments, they essentially write that, where did the carrot go? My child wants to play with a carrot. So how can I use it to the fullest and maybe establish a brand for this? Moreover, I am curious to know whether this parental gate is definitely needed in Android, as my primary concern is ensuring the safety of children on the platform.
Is it a mandatory requirement before making a purchase in iOS and in iOS and an Android operating system in?
We do not have anything like that on Android, and I am just saying that you should try it.
No need to test on cross without him, but I remember there was a purchase.
No, not needed. It's optional.
Thanks, we'll surely trust in it.
You possess an excellent beggar carrot, which occupies approximately 20% of the screen space. In addition, I would also incorporate a clickable area into it that triggers the store. I recommend trying it out using this approach. I repeat.
We possess an extensive assortment of products. We are currently conducting numerous tests on various flows and additional gameplay elements that are directly linked to the meta, utilizing the bindings. Should, in principle, enhance long-term retention, while everything is currently in progress.
Regarding myself, there are numerous tasks, and this factor also contributes to the challenge of making a decision. So you don't know what this can make sense to issue a list for the day, what needs to be accomplished. The next day you bring the child back and receive new tasks. Surprisingly, they somehow manage to show the results, because quantity does not always solve the problem. Well, this is based on my observation in principle. From the comments, it also seemed to me that we need to work on the sounds. Somehow they sound very muffled, and in some scenes they sound like a choir, when you press a lot of keys at the same time, and you also need to work with it carefully. That is, limit simultaneous events. By sound, it's by sound. I listen to the sound in different languages. In principle, it seems the bitrate has been reduced, clarity and sharpness lost. Basically, I think that's all I got.
Please inform me, Yuri, if we have comparable niches in that location. Do you employ interstitial reward system on Android platform in minigames?
Everywhere on the internet, there is a reward. Not all games are designed for it, but we also make an effort to find them.
Mean Google rewarded. And Shaputvahu, we do not utilize it. And I will provide an explanation as to why. The logic behind it is quite simple and straightforward. This is essentially the same reward, just made backwards. So you have to be in order to get the reward.
Is this a reward that has the option to be skipped?
No. Reward interstitial is a format where you watch, you are given 10 seconds. If you don't disconnect, you are shown an advertisement. So you can implement it as the same rewarder in the big picture, even in the guideline territory. On one hand, on other hand, if you use reward interstitial, then you have one IDMOC in demand. You simulate it in this format. Accordingly, your SCPM on it will be 40–50% worse than if you use a standard rewarder instead.
And is a standard rewinder possible in the children's category? Wait, are there no restrictions about it?
I don't know. In addition, you can even have such restrictions. Use interstitial, and interstitial will have a higher eCPM than this reward interstitial. This is the same problem. Google invents formats where it acts as a monopolist, exerting its dominance in the market. If he is a monopolist, then there is no auction. His main task is not to let you earn money, but to help the advertisers spend this money on as many installations as possible. Google, just like any other network, is highly interested in the absence of competition on its demand-driven platform. That is the reason why they promote the open, rival interstitial and native formats, because not all networks are able to compete well in that area, and the profit margin in this particular area is significantly higher for these formats. If you notice, yes. And she whispered, only for sure she told you 100 times it's better to use rating, not banner. Tests are conducted as a result.
I've heard about rebar.
BTW, I don't know about this task if it's not sorted or tested there. This task seems totally uninteresting to me, TBH. And do you know why? Because it turns out that the action itself, what does it transform? In simple terms, it changes a dashed line into a solid line.
The issue is she is too tiny.
Here I cut it, but it doesn't actually cut. Essentially, it's just a line being colored. As if I went out, you need to test it. How necessary is it at all? At first, I couldn't understand what to do at all. And then I tried to guess how to feed, because I didn't notice these cross figures at the bottom at all. So the child has a question at this very moment. It appeared to me that this particular scroll task is not strong enough or robust. I had to go straight, point like this, like this, like this, like this, to check something. So these tasks, he does not freeze. No, it is not that he is lagging there. Slow swipe.
Very slow swipe.
By the way, I enjoyed Yuri's idea that you can complete the task for the day and then go to the shooting location.
Making a choice is always the hardest part. Choosing from everything is easier when you are already given something specific for the day. You calculated the child doesn't work. 15 mins a day. Why give him more? Come back tomorrow.
And also, is it a funnel, right? And how do you count the funnel? Because you just have, by the way, I don't feel like pressing the first button at all. You're pressing the third, fourth there. How do you even make a funnel by level?
Well, depending on the platform, we have different steps. Starting from log passing on iOS, if it's in the form of a legal subscription, we have a questionnaire. On Android, we don't have that. Then we look at how many users have reached the map after all our onboarding steps, how many of them started the minigame, and further down the funnel, there is a transition from the first to the second, from the second to the third minigame.
I don't mean there's no transition here. That is, there can't be no transition from second to third, started right away with third.
No, in terms of icons, but in terms of played minigames. You have the ability to click on any Android here, affirmative. Well, as a rule, they usually click on what's at the beginning anyway, for the most part.
Have you made an effort to avoid promptly enabling the top icons that advertise other games upon initialization?
Which games?
Roger.
In my view, they performed a test.
I started flowing on them. I was taken from the game.
We must go to our games.
As if yes.
Thus, I no longer encounter any difficulties or challenges that impede my progress or hinder my success.
Let's summarize. Nikita, I don't know, but it seemed to me that someone said something good about me.
Thanks to all who took part. I trust we've uncovered something significant. And it was quite intriguing, provided a rationale for contemplating certain matters. What we had already presumed, we will put to the test. So thank you very much.
In this video, we conducted a review of a game developed by our colleagues at Bini Bambini. This is a children's game. She is familiar to me and my colleagues. Not long enough, because these are our so-called competitors. But we had a good conversation. You will see what came out of it. Guys, please show your support by liking and reposting, and feel free to ask questions in the comments. I will do my best to provide answers. Thank you so much. Goodbye.